Well, hello, it is Shiru. I am, um, I'm going to be trying to start a new series of, with Battletech and Mech Warrior. It's not going to be anything like I normally do, where it's just normal gameplay. It will have gameplay involved, but it will be, um, I'm going to be doing kind of like a ranking system and a little bit of an overview of the battle mechs. Um, so I'm hoping it will catch up on, but I know there's a lot of people that do overviews of the battle mechs themselves, the history, especially big tech. I believe his name was Big Tech 40K or 40. I'm not sure exactly what his name was. I haven't seen any of his videos in a little bit, just because um, haven't had time and I just haven't seen him work with his um, channel at this moment, and for some reason I'm not subscribed to him anymore on both my channels. Think I subscribed back to him on my other channel. No, this one ain't going well. Hey, it's Shiru. I'm actually going to be starting a new series for the battle mechs in general. This is a series that's going to be a bit of an overview, but I'm going to be using. It's going to be a ranking system. Um, with how I love the battle mechs and everything. This is not going to be primarily gameplay not channel, but videos. This is going to be about how ranking the mechs in their not just base form, but overall in their normal forms. I'm going to add in some of the variants to give them a better ranking system. The ranking system I'm using is basically offensive capability, defensive capability, and mobility. I know a lot of times they say mobility and defense are a part of the same, which is true. But for me, I'm going to be discussing their armor and how much armor and whether it has that survivability in other systems that the mechs have. Mobility, I'll be talking basically about its speed. Does it have the capability of jets, and it also, and offensive, we all know what that is. With that being said, how I'm going to group these is in two ways. I am going to be looking at Inner Sphere and Clan. I'm also going to be looking at their weight groups. So I'm not going to take a Timberwolf and put it against a Raven weight class. No. So when I do these, I'm going to be kind of comparing them to their own weight class. That means heavies with heavies, mediums with mediums, lights with lights, assaults with assaults. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. So I'm not going to be comparing them to other mechs that are lighter than them. They're going to be compared to others. But the other part of this ranking system, like I said, is Inner Sphere and Clan. So when it comes down to it, what I'm looking at is their performance. I'm not looking at any of tricks are, I'm just looking over their performance. How do they perform? What are they doing that makes them different or the same as another variant? And overall, also, clans will actually have a whole different ranking compared to their with the inner sphere. So I'm going to give them a 1 out of 10 in clan and 1 out of 10 in inner sphere. It means both this one mech will actually get a number for each group. And a lot of times a clan mech may have a higher number in its clan than it will in its inner sphere. It's because the way inner sphere and clan fight between each other. Clanners are known for being a very limiting in how much force they use. And the inner sphere really could care less. So they'll put in as many mechs as they can and try to beat you with numbers. This also goes with how clans are mostly an Omni mech. Now, the first mech I'm going to be going with is my favorite, and the one that we're staring at right here is the Timberwolf. And the reason I'm picking the Timberwolf first is it's the mech I truly love. I will talk a little bit about how I met them in games a little bit, but I'm also going to be going over what's the capability of them. Like I said, what's the capability? What's their offense? What's their defense? And how can they be used? Now, for Omni mechs, like the Timberwolf, I'm going to have to kind of rate it in a way that may give it some leeway on certain aspects. But I'm going to stick with their variants. So the Prime, an S, a D, an Alpha, a Bravo versions. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. I'm going to be hitting the mechs as they are. So, this is how I want this series to go, and I hope I can have a little fun, and I'll make fun of the mechs as well. So, I'm hoping this works out for me. I've been wanting to do something like this, but other content creators in the Battletech have done overviews of mechs and why we love them. I kind of want to take a different aspect to it. I want to give them a number, a ranking that shows how different they are against the sphere and clans. A lot of times, like I said, the clan mechs will have a ranking higher within clan than they would in inner sphere. Vice versa. But there are some mechs that I can see being able to be used in ways that the clans would actually like as well. So I'm hoping that I can get these out on Friday. It's going to be somewhat edited at first, but I'm hoping to learn more editing so I can make them better. But like I said, I'm starting with the Timberwolf. The Timberwolf is the mech I love. So that will be the mech I'll start with. And just overall, I hope to have a little fun with this because I'm going to be doing... my goal is to do the Timberwolf first, and next will be the Raven. because that's another mech I love. And then I'm going to come to a mech I absolutely despise. And that will be a controversial one. And I'm not going to say what its name is yet. You will learn that one. But I'm probably going to get some pushback from that. But I have to say this. I think a lot of people are going to be very salty against me on that one. And how I view it. Now, as for its ranking, it may actually be a lot higher on the list because of its performance. So, I'll be going over the stats of every mech. So, I'm going to take it from kind of MechWarrior 5 because I'm not good. I've never dealt with the tabletop. So, that's what's going to happen. Is I'm going to take this from MechWarrior 5 because a lot of times these are kind of set up to be very similar to how they are. I'm also going to be picking their quirks. Since I'm using MechWarrior 5, the quirks are going to be right here. And I'll go over them. So that's how I want to do this. Hopefully this will go well, and I will have a bit of fun. And hopefully every Friday I will have a video coming out for them. So to get started, it will be the Timberwolf first. I will break it up. So I will have a bit of music playing between the game and me going over its overview and its stats. So that will be how I do this. I will be using Sarna.net. I also have an app on my phone that I will also be looking at. And like I said, MechWarrior 5 is going to be the base, so I'm going to be using MechWarrior 5's stats as well. The bigger part. So this is just mostly going to be working with MechWarrior 5. So I will break up each section. The overview is going to be going over like history and things like that a little bit. I'm not going to go full on into their history. I'm just going to be going. So to get started with this and to get started with Timberwolf, the Timberwolf is like I said, is one of my favorite battle mechs. It is a 75-ton heavy Omni mech from Clan Wolf. It has been jealously guarded by Clan Wolf. The mech first appeared within the Inner Sphere in 3049 with the original invasion of the Clan Invasion. It is a soul. The only way to get a hold of a Timberwolf is by being friends with Clan Wolf or by salvage. And as one guy said, his name, you might know him as Tex, has stated before, it is hard to get a hold of a Timberwolf because salvage goes to the victor. So it's not easy to get a Timberwolf. But if you are friends with Clan Wolf, you can get yourself a hold of a Timberwolf. Like I said, it is a Clan Omni mech. It is a 75-ton beast of pure raw power. The mech itself is a unique look. It has a unique look to it. Um, it has the digitigrade legs, or as I like to call, bird legs. The arms kind of look like a Marauder's arms, so and that this is the reason, and the missile pods give it that catapult look. Now, for me, the look is iconic because of it was brought into the world in Mech Commander for me, but I'm only going a little over its history. So it was designed in 2945, primarily built on Strana Mechd, when the Clan Wolf has guarded this mech, I mean, jealously. They have not really given it the sales. In general, this mech is rare among the other clans, due to its being only available to really Clan Wolf. So it is a hard mech to get a hold of, but it has shown its power in many, many ways on the battlefield. So it is one of, I would say, one of the better mechs that you can get a hold of, but it is also very expensive to get a hold of. And if you're not for one thing, it's expensive because Clan Wolf will not let it go. And for another, if you are able to get a hold of one, it's an Omni mech, so its components are expensive to repair. So in general, this mech is a bitch and a half to repair it, but it being an Omni mech also means that it can be changeable. But I'll get more into that and its offensive capabilities. So this mech was an awesome designed mech. It works well. Clan Wolf built basically an ultimate machine, but we all know what happens with ultimate machines. It's happened once before in the past, and it's always, war never seems to change. So it's one of those things where you may have a great weapon platform, but in the end, that great weapons platform is only as good as how many can be made and how strong it is, and if you can get the parts. So, and getting the parts, if you're only capable of getting parts through salvage, you're screwed, my friend. You are screwed. Now to talk about its offensive capabilities. I'm going to start off with its offensive capabilities because it has numerous abilities for offensive capabilities. The one we're looking at right now, this version of the Timberwolf, is the Timberwolf Prime. Now the Timberwolf Prime comes equipped with 2 ER large lasers, 2 ER medium lasers, 2 LRM-20s, 2 machine guns, and 1 medium pulse laser. Just for disco death mode, apparently. That's kind of what clans like to do, is disco death mode, so why not just slap a medium pulse laser on that? This setup is well-rounded for me. It is a well-rounded in the fact that it can hit you from all ranges, but there is a disadvantage I see when it comes to it. Um, machine guns have very little effect on other mechs. They can injure um, tanks and lightly armored vehicles, but they're not. They're more meant for infantry and passively powered armor. So for me, to put machine guns on a machine that is going to be going up against some of the heavier mechs and not having more dedicated firepower to that. So for me, the Prime as an offensive tool is an excellent machine, but it does lack. For me, and how I run a normal Timberwolf Prime configuration, for me, a Prime configuration I normally put down as having 4 medium lasers. If I could fit a little bit extra armor onto that, I will. Or ammunition for the LRMs. Because where it lacks is its ammunition stockpile. I'm actually going to go to its settings, so I'm going to go to its loadout. I won't do this for every mech, but I will do this with a few. It has 1 ton of ammunition for its LRM-20s. That's enough for, I believe it's about 10 shots. 420 rounds in this game. But I believe when it comes to tabletop, that is about 10 shots of LRM-20s. So it's very limited on its ammunition stockpile. Other variants work upon I feel its weaknesses in its Prime configuration, but its Prime configuration, I would actually give it a pretty good for what its purpose is, to be a well-rounded mech. That meaning it's designed to go toe-to-toe and be able to do multiple different things, but it's not going to master a single thing. So it's basically a jack of all trades, master of none. Now, there's other variants, which I can... Now, here is a variant of Timberwolf that is a little bit more interesting in its offensive capabilities. This one does kind of have a mastery in certain aspects, I feel. It's more of a short range brawler. This one has mastered short range fighting. Now, it uses SRMs, which are extremely good. And the difference between this version and the Timberwolf Prime is where the Timberwolf Prime is that jack of all traits, master of none, compared to the Timberwolf TBRS. That is the variation that is a short range bruiser. Now, it does have a weapon system on here that does hit a little bit further, and that is the large pulse laser. But overall, it is a better short-range offensive mech. So, you see the difference between what I'm calling a jack-of-all-trades to a more specialized version of the Timberwolf. Now, there are some out there that are not specialized 100%. Again, sometimes speciality will kill you. This one is a goofy little setup, the Timberwolf A. It is another version of the jack of all trades, master of none, but slightly a little better in my opinion. It's equipped with 2 ERPPCs, which are long-range hitting weapons. If you know anything about clans, that is significant. 3 medium pulse lasers, 1 ER small laser, and a Shrieker SRM, or however you pronounce it. I don't know. I'm stupid when it comes to things like that. But this just goes to show you its offensive capabilities are so different from each other. It means that these mechs can, and this is where the Omni part comes in. Offensively, these mechs can play roles as in long range, short range, medium range. They can fulfill all of those. But these mechs, because they are Omni mechs, are designed to be very modular. This is where I will say, overall, the Timberwolf on its offensive capability is extremely good for what you're asking of this mech. Now, I'm going to go into its defensive capabilities, which again, an Omni mech can do significantly good in. For one thing, you could put on ECMs, put on Beagle active probes. You can even put on systems that will typically hide the mech. But there are some systems it can't have. It is its armor is extremely durable, extremely tough machine. It cannot, because it uses clan ferrofibrous armor, but if you're talking about just a basic model of the Timberwolf, we're looking at about 500 points of armor and a structure of 250 internally. So it's, for this game, it would be significant, but not, it puts it above a lot of other heavy mechs in its category because of the ferrofibrous. Ferrofibrous allows mechs to have extra armor but disadvantages, you're sacrificing space internally. That's the same thing with its endo steel structure, is you're sacrificing firepower for that. So there's a bit of a disadvantage. Now, one of its quirks that it has is its weak head armor. If you look at a Timberwolf, you can easily see its cockpit. If you're going up and fighting something like this, you can pretty much hit the cockpit if you're a good shot. So that actually brings it down, in my opinion, on its armor and its defensive capabilities, because it can't. But again, it can equip ECMs. It can equip these electronic warfare equipment that will protect it from being targeted. But again, you're having a mech rely solely on its armor. And sometimes that does not play well in aspects of its. It also has a disadvantage because when I say defensive capabilities, I'm also going to be including survivability in there. The Timberwolf is a survivor. It can survive. But there's one glaring issue. If both of the side torsos get destroyed, the mech is done. It can't escape. It can't get out of the battlefield. It is done. Because it uses an XL engine. XL engines are notoriously bad. They're notoriously bad, but notoriously good. They have good and bad aspects to them. But you're looking at an engine that takes up critical space within the side torsos. Which means when one of the side torsos gets destroyed, it now has a penalty on its speed. If both side torsos get destroyed in a Timberwolf, you're done. It's something that plagues the XL engine. But with clan mechs, it is not as bad to say. Again, defensive capabilities, it's shown not. It relies heavily on its armor. And sometimes that's not what it needs. It needs the next thing I'm going to be talking about. Maneuverability. Maneuverability, or being mobile, is the Timberwolf's greatest asset for it being a 75-ton battle mech, and for it being not only in the inner sphere, but in the clan space. The mech runs up to 86 kilometers an hour. This is given its speed by a 375 XL engine. This engine allows this mech to cruise at 54 kilometers or run at a breezy speed of 86 kilometers per hour. For heavy mechs, that is extremely fast for its capability. This actually works into part of its defense, is it's capable of being very mobile. Now, being mobile doesn't only mean going forward or back. This also means going vertical. Because the Timberwolf is an Omni mech, it has the ability to equip jump jets. On its prime configuration, it's not set up for it, but you can still put jump jets on it if you need to. The Timberwolf S, which we looked at, actually does have jump jets, and it also has jump jets internally. So if you go with the S platform, you're able to jump around and get around the battlefield. With an 86 kilometer an hour speed and being able to jump around, your survivability goes up as well. So survivability and mobility are going to work together to make this mech a very survivable mech, as long as it's on the move and it's equipped good. Like I said, it can even put on ECMs, which do protect it from being shot at by missiles and other systems. So this mech can play many roles. For me, this is a very awesome mech. It is a extremely well built. It does have its glaring issues. But overall, as a mech, it is phenomenal. Now, when I give it its rating, I'm looking at it as a clan mech. I'm going to have to give this mech a rating of 8 as a clan mech. A few reasons why. Its mobility is extremely phenomenal because it can actually equip the jump jets and maneuver around the battlefield at a quick pace. It does a phenomenal job. Its survivability is what hurts it a little bit. Because it relies more heavily on its armor, I have to kind of give it a bit of a penalty, and its weak head armor. It being a clan mech also kind of hurts it, and being an Omni mech also kind of hurts it. But being an Omni mech also benefits it too. So there's good and bad parts about being an Omni mech, just like there's good and bad parts. But the biggest thing is the armor being mostly its defense in terms of it being hit. It can shrug off a lot of damage, but there are mechs that can shrug off more, even in its weight class. But it sacrifices ammo in that case. And that's kind of what the Timberwolf does too. It kind of sacrifices ammunition and weaponry because it uses ferrofibrous and endo steel. So it's taking up critical spaces in that. Just like the XL engine is also taking up critical space. So that's why I'm giving it an 8. Its offensive capability is some of the best. I will admit that. It basically packs an Inner Sphere assault mech level of firepower. But because of the XL engine, the endo steel, and the ferrofibrous, that's where it gets hurt. That's where this mech gets hurt. And when it comes to the Inner Sphere rating, this might be a little controversial, but I'm actually giving it a 6. And it's the biggest reason is due to it being an Omni mech. It will annihilate any Inner Sphere battle mech. But it's not designed for Inner Sphere fighting the way the Inner Sphere fights. It's designed for how the clans fight, and this is why it's getting a lower ranking. Is because the way the clans fight is they go through and use very limited supplies in their fights. That's why they have the trials. The Inner Sphere could care less. So the more parts you lose of this mech, you're going to have to change out more weaponry. And that is what hurts it in the Inner Sphere. If you do not have a logistics supply, it can actually be very tedious. Sometimes the best mechs are not the ones that are Omni, but are set up to be basically a normal platform. I will say this. The Marauder, because it's a basic mech, things can be changed out, but I think with how the Inner Sphere fights, it's a better mech for the Inner Sphere. For one thing, it's way cheaper than a Timberwolf. And on top of that, it's not an Omni mech, So if you need an autocannon and your supply chain is good and you've got the supplies, you don't have to change that. You could change that autocannon easily. Same thing with its arms. You can repair the arms. Clan mechs have an issue. It's the cost to repair them. You would think being an Omni mech, it would actually be a significant easier fix. But one of the quirks is, because in this game is the Omni mech, the mech's upkeep does go up because it's an Omni mech. Also, for defense, I forgot to mention this, it does have internal case systems. So that is another reason with its defense. So, but being an Omni mech means it's going to be more expensive to upkeep, more expensive to repair, and overall, just in a sense, a headache. Whereas a Marauder wouldn't be. And a Marauder is the same tonnage as a Timberwolf. But, you know, overall, even with an 8 and a 6 rating for it, I will still personally love the Timberwolf, and I will always use the Timberwolf, no matter what. So, plus, like I said, this mech means a lot to me because it was the first one I actually fell in love with in general. So, with that being said, this would be the end for the Timberwolf. Hopefully, but to get away from that, this is a little, you can kind of say this is, sorry there was no game footage. I was going to do that, but then I just got into talking about the mech and how I feel about it. Like I said, if anybody wants to try to help me and give me pointers, and I may do a new Timberwolf later on down the line, because I don't know how I will feel about this video in long term as they get better. But I'm hoping to improve, and overall I hope to improve. And like I said, next Friday it will be the Raven, another one of my favorites, and then the week after next it will be a mech that I absolutely fucking hate. And like I said, that's going to be very controversial for a lot of mech fans. So, this will be Shiru. I will be signing off here Well, I will be signing off here. Thank you again, and I hope this video I don't know what you want to call it. I'm going to say video, but it doesn't feel much like a video. It just feels more like I'm just talking and ranting about mechs. And I'm hoping you enjoy my talking and ranting about mechs. So, but thank you for stopping by and kind of hanging out. I'm hoping this works. So this is going to be a little bit of edited content, but